Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful gentleman sitting to the left of your screen. In fact, this is his second time with us. Almost a year ago, we sat down and had a conversation, but I knew he would have to come back for two reasons. Number one, I hadn't built my studio space, and so I was kind of in the corner of my dining room area. And we talked and shared so much, but the delight of his music and how incredibly wonderful it was, I knew, hey, we're going to have to do this again. He reached out to me with more music about a month ago, and I said, hey, now's the time. His name is Andrei Poliakov. He's coming in from Switzerland. He is settled in his workspace, and we're going to have a wonderful time together. But of course, before we do, we have to give some love to our wonderful family at VISD and also Armstrong Cable. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. So now not only can you hook up with us at the EntreMusician, but also on YouTube and on VISD and on Armstrong. So thank God the community is growing. And do you know how you get involved? You get involved by going to the EntreMusician.com, clicking on the Backstage Pass, and joining us. There's 4 ways that you can join us as a fan, follower, friend, or family member. Get in, because here's what you want to do. After Andrei and I are done talking, he's going to share some personal advice to EntreMusicians, which you can't get any other way but by going to the EntreMusician and clicking on the Backstage Pass. So without further ado, let me welcome you. Let me start by saying this. If you love beautiful music, okay? If you love beautiful music, you should be listening to Andrei. If you don't like beautiful music, don't listen to him, okay? Because he has some of the most incredible, fantastic, soothing, and encouraging music I've ever listened to. Andrei, what's going on, brother?
Brother, thank you so much for such a nice introduction. I mostly agree with you. If you like beautiful music, please come over, and you know how to find me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been indeed a year since we've seen each other last time. My
Amazing.
goodness.
Amazing. I was trying to think, because again, I was kind of holed up in my little dining room area, and I couldn't remember whether we were on a lockdown or not. So I attributed our time to 2019, but it's been 1 year, you say. Great.
It's been 1 year. It was actually when we first met. I think it was the very beginning of all the lockdowns across the world. Basically, it was May last year. So the worst of the worst, I think.
Well, how are your people faring then in Switzerland? How are you doing as a community, as a society, a year later?
It's hard. It's still hard. We still have lockdowns, partial lockdowns. The situation is getting better, I'd say, in terms of infections, in terms of deaths. Thanks God, the vaccination has already started. So yeah, indeed, it's it's getting better. This year hasn't been easy for the vast majority of people, I think, both on the financial side and on the moral side as well. Not being able to see your loved ones or close ones who are locked up in different countries. I have so many friends and colleagues who haven't seen literally their family for 6 months, for example, just because of these lockdowns. But on another hand, honestly, I have a day job. I still have a day job. It's very good. I'm super happy. I'm working from home. It's it's good. It's nothing to complain in this sense. And I have a family, and we live all together. So it's exactly as good as it could possibly get in these circumstances, I think.
Well, let me ask you this question then, Andrei. What is it? What is the impetus of you creating such beautiful music in this incredible atmosphere? Because the song Sunshine, especially, or Sunlight, is just a wonderful song. So what was your inspiration in light of everything that you were saying, your country is saying, that you can still write such a wonderful inspirational piece?
That's a very interesting question. I'll start a bit backwards,
Sure.
because the context is very important. of course, talking about sunshine as well, but the overall context of the year, and what I think I have accomplished over these months is something that I had never accomplished before. Okay, so the last time we met, I came up with this kind of a project of mine to produce a track, a musical work, composition every month, and put it out on Spotify and all the platforms.
Yes.
And call it Moonlight and Sunshine.
Right.
And then the pattern that I developed for this music was, so I'm composing a solo piano work, which is typically more quiet and calm and meditative sometimes, and mixing the genres as well as I love doing. And so that's the first piece of the pair, and then the next one comes as in an arranged form with various arrangements, again diverging into so many different styles as I had learned over this year.
Yes.
And then I go to another pair. So basically, it's the pairs of music that is sort of a variation of each other or build on each other, related to each other, but this relation sometimes is quite distant, quite remote.
Yes.
Because it just comes out like that.
Yes.
And since the June last year, it's been 10 months, 11 months. I've released 8 compositions. I've got 2 new ones already recorded and already in the distribution. Excellent. For May and June. And then I have the other 2 that will come out in June, July maybe, and that will complete a nice year of work with 12 tracks.
Right.
I actually, when I was conceiving it, I hadn't imagined that I would accomplish it. If you know what I mean, it's kind of it's very distant, and you're looking at in front of you. There's a year, there's 12 months, and you're thinking, okay, I'll be composing, and then we'll see. Basically, as it's a promise that I've given to myself.
What was your system then, in the sense of okay, I have this year worth of work. Not only does it have to be written, but it has to be recorded as well. How often, on a daily or weekly basis, did you set aside, I'm going to work 3 hours a day or 5 hours a day? What was the?
Unfortunately, I cannot work like that. I'm not capable of doing these things creatively speaking. It's just, I sit here, I'm trying to play something, and it really nothing comes out, honestly, and it's or it's a trash that I wouldn't even want to show to anyone, pretty much.
Yes.
So no, the system is more or less, I see that piano whenever I have time. Is it 15 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 2 hours? Depends. And then you just improvise, and you just play around, and you put out the lights in the room, and you put in the light from a moon sometimes, or a sun. No, seriously, and seriously.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Pure inspiration.
Yes, yes, but in my case, I have to wait for it. So, like you're playing, and there's nothing, and then all of a sudden there's 3 notes, like literally it could be 3 notes, or a phrase, or a nice arrangement, or a nice accompaniment. I don't know, and it differs. And then it clicks. It just magically clicks, and you think, that it. Here we go.
Sure.
So here it comes. And then the interesting part also starts. And I often, like over this year, I've often compared the music composing process with a game of chess. In fact.
Yeah,
interesting, yeah. Because once you got this inspiration and this inspired phrase or notes or the idea basically around this, and then you start developing the theme, then you put in other themes, then you start putting together the arrangement, and it's more like, okay, so what do I want to do? I want to come from this theme, and then I want to make it major, for example, and then I want to make it more bright, and then I want to talk about other things. I want to divert from confession of love to the love despair, I don't know, or something like this. So you start thinking, and then you start putting together the chords and the melody and the notes. So how do I transition from this idea into another one, and how do I develop it further?
Right.
this is why I'm kind of looking at this partially as a game of chess as well, because you need to think several moves ahead, and
Sure.
then you're placing your figures in a way that allows to develop in the direction that you want. I think it's, I mean, it's super cool.
So
And then,
I have two questions for you as a
sure.
result of that chess game that you're playing with yourself. Number one is, and again, I'm going to try not to ask you the same questions that I did a year ago.
Go
You
ahead.
know, I do no. I want those of you who did not see that to go back and check that
Oh,
conversation out, because it was a lot of great content that you shared there. But you know, back to this chess game. The first thing is you are really intrigued in orchestration. So in the way that you develop your colors, it seems to me to be somewhat unconventional. Like you could have grabbed the viola, but you did not. You grabbed the bassoon instead. Or you know, there's all these colors that you're throwing into it. Is that part of the chess move, or is that part of the creative inspiration?
Can I give you an example?
Please.
Please. And this example is going to be, by the way, about the song that is not released yet, that is going to be released in the end of May, I think. I
Yeah.
just put it into distribution today to DistroKid. It's 27th of May or whatever. So go and check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Be safe and all that.
Please.
Please. Now, so once I've composed a piano tune, let's say, and then I'm satisfied, I like it, I love it, and I think, okay, now it's time to make an arrangement for this thing. And I start thinking, so how do I approach this arrangement and the colors and the instruments, and answering your question basically.
Yeah.
And then it's very often, I'd say almost always, I'm taking a part of the song, a part of the composition that I didn't manage to develop as well as I wanted, or to the point where I wanted. So, for example, I had an idea of a rhythmic pattern or an idea of a very nice melody, but it just ended up as a nice melody and stand alone in the piano composition because of the limitations of the instrument, or because it just didn't fit into the format of 3 minutes or 4 minutes or something like that.
Sure.
And so I'm taking this bit and then I'm building on this bit that is underdeveloped, the next composition, which is Sunshine in the Sunshine variation of the Moonlight. And this gives me kind of an automatic inspiration into how do I approach the next song. So it basically informs the development of the next composition.
Yeah.
And then and then the process is relatively similar, I think. Sometimes you think, okay, this is a rhythmic pattern, and then it could be something pretty standard. There was a composition, La Promenade in Paris in the Sunshine, for example, released somewhere in the winter. And then I had this bossa nova rhythm in the piano relative of this song. So I just took this bossa nova beat, and then I thought, okay, who could play the bossa nova rhythm? Okay, you need a bass, you need a bit of a drumming, and you need okay, it's a piano song, so it's an electric piano, So and then you go ahead, and then on top of that, you can take a melody from another place from your piano composition and lay it over on this rhythmic pattern, for example. This is
keeping that
exactly
theme.
what I did. Yeah, exactly. And then you relate these two compositions, but in the end of the day, they come out completely different. And there's a lot of people who cannot recognize, even the relativity. Among musicians, probably it's more clear because the tricks and everything. But generally speaking, I was my colleagues were saying at work, but like really, were you inspired by the same thing within two compositions that sound and look completely different?
Yes.
So that's the thing. And then the example. Sorry, I started with the example that I wanted to give.
Okay.
I composed a piano piece that is coming out soon in 3 weeks, and then I started doing this in the Sunshine arrangement. And I was a bit stuck first, and then all of a sudden I sat at the piano and I played the riff in the left hand. And it came out super nice. All of a sudden, within an evening, I recorded, not just written, but I recorded on my laptop the whole composition, like within the evening, 3 minutes. I was fantastic. Then you take a week or two to finesse, to add things, to throw things out.
Yeah.
Then I worked with my sound producer, which I'm gonna mention this time for sure. Not like I did not do last time. I do remember that.
I remember.
Do you? Yeah. Well, uh, and then it's done. And this time it was a bit different. So I came up with this composition, and then within a week, and then the next week, and then the third week, and I don't know what to do with it. I see that I hear and I feel that it's incomplete. There's nothing to it. But I like the other. I already like the stuff that I put in, but it's not complete, and I need something else to lay over, to add, but I don't know what, and I have no inspiration, and I'm just like, I felt like I was locked up in the room. Look, I tried robotic voices, I tried all the, I don't know, I mean, all the kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Ended up with, eventually I was sharing with some of my friends, and they helped me to kind of go into world music sort of direction. And then I stumbled upon a very beautiful instrument called Armenian duduk. I don't know if you heard about that.
I haven't, no.
I actually have it in my, so in the bonus video, in the bonus section, I can show you the duduk. I have it in my cupboard. Oh. But yeah, so I stumbled upon that instrument, that absolutely wonderful, beautiful sound, and it just clicked in, and all of a sudden the song is complete. So it was like a magic. So I had something that was completely, I couldn't understand what would I do with it, and then all of a sudden it just clicks, and then okay, here we go. So it's sometimes, as I'm saying, sometimes it's a very long process of searching and creating, and then throwing out like, I don't know, I'm starting with 100 tracks maybe sometimes,
Sure.
or in the middle, like many producers do, and then I end up with 5 because there's a lot of because
so it's a process of elimination.
Absolutely. And this process of elimination, I think that's the most interesting process in creation, because you start with something really messy, and you have a vague idea where it's going, and then while you start to peel this like an orange, I don't know, and then you see the core, tasty, delicious core.
Yeah, no, that's right on point. I think that it's not common, but most of the producers that I work with, and most of the composers, I mean, you kind of throw everything at the wall, because all of these colors and these vibes are coming at you, and just capture them. But you'll know over listening the period of time that, well, that doesn't really work, and this sounds better, and those flow more in harmony than I did, when I was just creating it. But you answered my second question. I just want to hone in on it to make it more concise, but you actually answered my second question in your example with respect to this chessboard or this chess game, because I was going to ask you, how many songs do you sit down and just finish from beginning to end? We were talking about the fact that, do you carve out 3 or 4 hours a day? You don't work like that. But in most chess games, they can go on for days. So do you find yourself more on the side of sitting down, and before you know it, after a couple hours, as a finished product, let's take it to the sound producer? Or are you over time, it's been 5 weeks and we're still kind of carving out what we need to?
I think I'm the second, but one good thing about my situation, having a day job and having the music as a passion, is that I'm not committing to anyone in terms of deadlines, in terms of monies, in terms of budgets and everything. It's me and myself. It's done. If I decide to have a day off from music or a week off from music, because nothing is going to happen.
Yes.
It's good. And this this very fact also allows me to create what I want, not what is maybe needed and what is maybe commercially requested, and But it's just I'm going with the flow of my creativity. I'm trying to develop as a composer myself,
Yeah,
so that I like every next piece more than the previous one,
sure.
I think. And this is pretty much what I'm doing. I'm not really writing at orders, for example. Nobody is asking me to write music. And
That's
yeah, that's probably the best. It's a
purest
luxury.
music. This the pure. It comes from your spirit because there's no
Yeah,
demand on you to fit into a certain box. You can
yeah,
actually write with a degree of freedom because
yeah.
you're not trying to fulfill the obligation of anyone else, but what's happening inside of you.
Yeah, exactly. And if nobody likes my next title while I like it, it's fine. You know what? No wishes
There's
at all.
something there though. You hit on something there because most of us, we've been conditioned to write for others.
Mhm.
And if you write for others and you don't necessarily like it, and there's scores of interviews with quote unquote icons who, because of record labels or because of the producer they were working with or whatever, no, it has to meet these metrics, and it's not their spirit that's coming out, it's just about the numbers. But
Yeah.
when you can say, I love this piece, and you might not like it, and it's okay with me. I'm not going to cry. It's not going to be the end of my career.
Yeah.
This is who I am as an artist. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful, man.
Yes, I love it. It's a privilege, really privilege to work, or I cannot even call it a work. It's more a passion. This is what I do. It's just what I do. I play piano, and I actually signed with a label for 3 songs as well. In the end of the last year,
Oh, yeah.
with Italian guys. Yeah, with Italian guys, we released 3 titles, which was very cool.
You're going to mention
And
their names?
I met,
Are you going to mention their names?
yeah, yes, PA 74,
Uh-huh.
the label.
Yep.
No, but seriously, it's more like a publishing deal, and around those lines. But they also still organizing the concerts, the online events, and I played at one of them. It was almost Christmas last year,
Excellent.
and it was super stressful experience, I have to
Oh,
say.
really?
Yeah, because
Okay,
look,
why? Why was
yeah,
it?
yeah, I'll tell you. So I finished my formal music career as a professional musician 20 years ago, as a pianist, as the oboist.
Yes,
Back in
yes.
Russia, 2002, I guess. So that was the last time I played the solo concert at stage. I had played, obviously, a lot of different rock concerts, rock bands, all this kind of stuff, but that's an easy stuff.
Yeah.
But when you sit alone at the piano and you have to perform within 1 hour to 1.5 hour, a lot of different pieces, that is super stressful, and that was more stressful than I had imagined, honestly.
Understood.
But it went very well. I mean, no issues. But inside me, myself, I thought, okay, man, you lost a little bit of stamina against those things, I guess. But
Mm.
I mean, it comes back. But that was one of the highlights of the last year, I'd say. Your interview with you and that concert.
Come on now, check you out.
I'm being honest. No. I'm being honest. We agreed to be honest with you, right? In the
Yes,
beginning.
yes,
So
yes.
I mean it.
Oh,
I mean it.
I
I mean
appreciate
it.
that.
I mean it.
I
And
very much. Thank you.
I have something to say about ego as well. And
Tell me.
someone is liking your music or not liking your music. I think I found the perfect recipe against these not nice feelings inside yourself. Because indeed, I mean, you create something, you love it,
Yes.
and then you give it to somebody else, and like, yeah, happens.
Sure.
And we as creators, as musicians, we tend to be a bit sensitive about these things.
Sure.
It's normal, like authors of the books as well.
Sure.
It's normal. But what I discovered, obviously, as I was going through this kind of a marketing education of myself in terms of the music marketing, obviously, how to market yourself and
Right.
what are the different means and all this. I stumbled, obviously, upon the Spotify playlists and the whole deal with Spotify
Yes.
playlists. And there's quite a few services where you can pitch to the curators of the Spotify playlist and
Correct.
either get accepted or not get accepted, receive a feedback about your music. And I started doing that, obviously. And you know, your own imagination is being crushed against other people's opinion.
Of
And
course.
these people, by the way, they are trustworthy. So they are actually musicians. They are composers with a good background and with good music out there in Spotify as well. So you kind of listen to their opinion. So that's the first thing. So when you start pitching your music yourself to the professionals or semi-professionals of the industry, you get a hit on your ego, and it helps actually to kind of squash it. I don't know, squeeze it in a good way.
Yeah.
And then the second step is I actually became one of the curators of the Spotify playlist, because I have a couple of kind of a big lists, not so big, but those which are being accepted into these services. And and you start listening to the music. I think so. The third highlight from the last year, besides interview with you and besides this concert with the guys, is the third one is becoming a curator for a Spotify playlist.
Now,
Because
the playlist itself is what genre or category?
it's called Multicolored Piano,
Multicolored piano.
and it's all about the neoclassical / jazzy style.
Okay.
With a lot of fresh finds all the time. It's the fresh finds. I fill it up every day or once every 2 days, maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a great, I think, education tool as well. I mean, you kind of there's a deal with credits as well. You receive some credits from reviewing the other people's music, and then you can spend these credits to get other people review your music, obviously. So there's a bit of this exchange, which is perfectly reasonable. But at the same time, you get to hear, I don't know, at least one album of good, really, really quality, good piano music every day.
Wow.
One album from different artists from around the world, 10, 15, 20 pieces.
So if you're listening to this interview or watching this interview, then you can, and you are in that style of music, multicolored piano fits you, then you know that when you are submitting to that particular playlist, this is the gentleman that you're dialoguing with, Andrei Poliakov.
Don't hate me for declines.
That's really good. So now you can go direct and you can say, hey, we heard this on the EntreMusician. So that's cool, man. I'm grateful. I'm not of that genre, but man, that would be really cool if somebody was able to connect with you because of this platform.
Oh, that's for sure. But honestly, again, it's one of the highlights of the year. I never regret doing that. It's a great educational tool. It's very manageable in terms of time. It's like half an hour, 1 hour every day, more or less.
Yeah.
Today. But it gives you ideas. It gives you inspiration. It gives you understanding where the modern music is going overall. You get to hear some of the artists that are completely indie like myself, on par with somebody else who is more popular, let's say, or more established artists.
Sure.
So
now, what do you like in not just in being a curator of a particular playlist, but as Andrei, the musician, and as a person who appreciates great music, what do you like most? That might seem like a very common or simple question, but what do you like, or what are you attracted to most about music when you listen to it or when you create it? What is that fine line that you see as a common thread for you personally?
I'll start with what is at the other side of this line. What I tend to, I wouldn't say not like, but tend not to understand or not to appreciate.
Sure.
To appreciate, really.
Yes.
And I'll be speaking about these genres. So piano, a bit of arranged piano in the neoclassical kind of a vein / jazz style.
Yes.
And And I think and again, it might be a very common answer as well, a response to these kind of questions. But what I don't appreciate the most is the banality and triviality of the music when you hear the music and you clearly understand how it was done.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Mm.
So you listen and you okay, so this is what you did here. It's the several chords, and then what you do, what you did, you basically played around it in your right hand, and then you made a couple of variations. And sometimes this can be super cool, by the way, depending on how an artist did that and everything. But on another hand, and this is where is this fine line, I'm looking for a surprise, for a nice surprise, for to be amused, to be surprised, to start thinking, how did he do that?
So
Like
beautiful.
this is the most important thing. And this is why, like, talking about this genre as well, I mean, neoclassics is sort of a very sort of established genre, I'd say by now, although it's being formed as well with the heads of like Ludovico Einaudi, for example. That's a big guy, Italian, very big name as well, from the movies and from various. So it's kind of a standard in neoclassics. And then when you hear people actually not, you wouldn't say copy, but really copying the style and copying what Ludovico Einaudi has already done. And then you have a question like, why are you doing this? Just to do exactly what you clearly not
What's your
expressing
motivation?
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. You clearly not expressing. What I'm really wondering is what is inside your heart, what is inside your soul. Tell me that and surprise me. I don't want to, I don't want to hear banalities. And this is, you know what I mean? Yeah,
I do.
You know what I'm saying? It's so important.
That's the perfect
and then
answer. That's the perfect answer, man. That's the perfect answer.
But it is what it is. And then sometimes you find this surprise in the harmony, for example. Sometimes you find this surprise in a melody. Sometimes it's a riff. Sometimes it's a rhythm. It depends, really. But you're looking for something unique, and you're looking for something to.
You know what's so interesting about your answer, and I mean it wholeheartedly. That's the perfect answer. What is so surprising, that word is that describes your music.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
it's kind of ironic because you're looking for in others as you're listening for what you actually present to us as listeners. There's always a corner that you turn that we don't anticipate. There's always a path that you choose to take where, oh yeah, you could have, this would have been the normal way to go about it, and it would have been fine, it would have been beautiful, but you said, nah, let's see what's down this street right here. And that's so incredible and so impressive about the music that you create. So that's wonderful that you're looking for the same thing that you are trying to accomplish as you are creating.
Yes. And I thank you so much. But I wanted to add a couple of things for this.
Sure.
One is, in fact, when I compose, and even once I've recorded a song, and while doing this elimination of the layers and the different, what we discussed in the beginning of the interview, I think I'm eliminating a lot of banalities and trivia. It could be a half of the song that I'm just, oh my goodness, really? No, what a shame. I cannot even listen to it myself. The next morning, you wake up the next morning, what did I do the last night? And then you erase everything and you start from scratch because you understand, no, come on, it's like, what is this? And the second thing, for this particular train of thought, for this surprise and lack of banalities and going a bit sideways around the corner, as you say, I think the main person in my life is my dad, who's been always encouraging me to go these routes, these uncharted territories, uncharted paths, in music composing. He's a brilliant pianist. He's a professor of St. Petersburg Conservatory. So he's a classically trained and performing pianist. And it is so worrisome sometimes, but also so rewarding to run my pieces through him, because he's always giving a very interesting feedback and very useful advice.
Oh my, yeah. Wow. Now, is that kind of unnerving if your father says something that you didn't expect, like, or there's a degree of correction, or it's just like, yo, this is in line?
No, never.
Beautiful.
No, seriously, and it's very transparent feedback, and it's never curses, or it's never bad feedback. It's more like, but are you sure you really want to say that, man? But everybody knows that already. I mean, why? It's an open secret. So you can go from dominant to tonic. It's done. Yes, so many people have done it before. Come up with something else. That's kind of a.
That's beautiful. Now let me ask this question. Is that trickling down between your teaching to your children? We talked about you being a father before. And so is that you're taking what your dad has given you, and is that like trickling down into as you teach them about life and music and art and creativity as well?
I suppose I'm trying to. I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but we don't know until they grow up, right? No, my little boy, he's 9-year-old, and he's playing piano, and he's pretty, not that bad, I'd say. I mean, he's pretty good.
Are you the teacher, or is he being taught by someone else?
I couldn't have done that. No. Not for the own children. We are getting angry and we are getting irritated too quickly, way quicker versus the teacher in the school, you know. But in all honesty, we have a music school, a fantastic music school, just 500 meters in the neighboring village. Can you imagine, in Switzerland? Like, we have a village with a music school that is pretty well known in the country and even outside the country. So we are lucky in that sense, and a very good professor. But also my mom, she's a pianist as well. And because of pandemic and because of the penetration of the digital means to our life and digital things, so every day they go and practice together via Skype.
Oh man, very
Can
cool.
you imagine that?
Beautiful.
So she's getting to see her grandchildren every day. She lives in Germany, and because of lockdowns, it's very difficult to travel, obviously.
Sure.
So she's like living in our apartment for an hour every day, more or less.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're getting something back. I mean, in terms of he's still practicing and he's progressing quite well. So that is important. But yeah, I get what you answer and what you're asking, and I think it's very important as well to kind of from the young years to give this idea of being different. Maybe it's not bad. It's good.
It is
surprise people. It's good.
Yes.
Why not? It's this is something that is I think that's helping. Maybe not sometimes it doesn't help in life to succeed in life money wise and like the material sense.
Well, if you're succeeding that way, I mean, if it's just money for money's sake and you're using music as a vehicle, it won't be fulfilling for you. It may do what it does in that season of your life, but true artistry is about more than money. I mean, if you do it first and the money comes, God bless you. But if you do it for the money, it's not going to be sustained.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, because making it big is a lottery, right?
Yeah, whatever. But let me ask you this question though. What do you find either as, maybe I should ask this question first. First of all, who is your sound producer? Let's get his name out there.
Wouter Kronenberg. So, a fantastic guy. Can I say a couple of words about our relationship, in fact?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please do.
So, 3 years ago, when I was still writing songs, more or less, and not in any consistent manner, not permanently, not consistently, sometimes. And then I decided, okay, I need someone who would advise me on sound and producing and how it all works, and maybe help me arrange and all this kind of stuff. And then I found this guy in the Netherlands. And he just advised by a friend of mine who was living there as well. So he put us in touch. So it was 3 years ago, and he turned out to be a very, first of all, a fantastic musician. Second of all, absolutely amazing sound producer, a mixer and mastering engineer, working in Logic as I do. So helps sharing the projects and everything. Bass guitarist, back vocalist, back singer, bass guitar, double bass. So everything that you might need, even from someone who is helping you to finalize the stuff, it's fantastic. But first and foremost, and of course, very honest and thorough person. I guess, we never have any issues with money, with timing, with how good the stuff is, or whatever. So always the comments and everything. But the funniest thing, we have never talked to each other in our life. All our communication is Gmail, WhatsApp, whatever. It is so contemporary, but sometimes we are asking ourselves, look, maybe it's time to meet in the end of the day, because we are practically living in each other Gmail. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Which is super funny.
That's beautiful, and it seems the more the technology continues to evolve, these relationships, which are virtual, are really very real, because what you hear when you listen to one of your compositions and knowing that it's gone through Wouter's process, it's just like you guys were sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
Very organic.
Yeah, I agree. But then it's been 3 years since we started to understand each other and started to get into the way of working to each other. But honestly, it's like 90% of his accomplishment, I think, that he is so flexible and so caring and understanding as well, that he's helping me a lot as well in this cleaning process, or in advices with, but why don't you do this? Or but lately in this Moonlight and Sunshine project, we are using what we call a carte blanche. So basically, I send him the music, which is sort of project and Logic, where I'm completely stopped. I don't know what to do any further. I know that the mix is not maybe right. I know that some of the instruments might need to be changed. I send it to him, and I list like 10 things that I want him to do, to pay attention. Look here, the bass is not, I don't really like this melody, but maybe you can come up with something better, this kind of stuff, right? And the 10th or the last point is, and you know what? You have a carte blanche. If you want to change something, please do.
Yeah. So that trust.
Yes, trust. Exactly.
Absolutely. Now, this is a multifaceted question, but what do you find right now is your greatest challenge, whether it's being the composition or arranging or recording or even in life? What do you find right now, this arc in your life is your greatest challenge, and how are you overcoming it?
Yeah, it's definitely the challenge is recording. It's definitely, by all means, I'm dreaming to record. In fact, this Moonlight and Sunshine project is coming to its completion in the summer, right? So I'll have 12 tracks that are published, released on Spotify, but it's a tiny thing anyways. It's not a big album or anything. It's just a playlist for now. And then I have this idea of making it an album, in fact, a real album. But for this, obviously, I need to re-record this stuff, and a lot of stuff. Because all I'm doing with this keyboard, which is perfect, by the way, which I love a lot, and the sound is pretty nice. I mean, you heard it. It's okay.
It is,
but it's not a real piano.
I understand, but
not real piano.
The way you play it.
Thank you. And the way Wouter masters it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It adds up.
That combination, yeah.
I know, right? But no, but in the end of the day, ideally, I'd like to record the solo piano compositions at least on a real piano in a real studio, and having it properly mixed and mastered as the live instrument. This is what I want to do, and then yeah. So that's the challenge, and you need to find a studio. You need to take time, and then the time becomes a really big problem, because when you see it work from home, for example, behind the same screen that I'm looking at you, and I'm working, then I have a break, for example, of half an hour, and then I just turn and play, right?
There you go.
It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
With a studio, it's not like that. You go there and you spend an hour and then you're gone. And within an hour, you need to accomplish the things. And this is not my habit. And I know I probably need to get out of that habit anyways. But
it works for you. It works for you now. And even when you get into that localized studio with the time and you got the clock ticking away, you know, and you're actually paying for it, I think because of your experiences first in your formative years, and secondly, how you've grown as a composer and arranger, that's going to be a situation that is not going to be as stressful as Christmas was. You're going to be able to walk into the moment and you're going to capture it. And whatever comes out is going to be real, and it's going to be from your spirit, and I think it's going to ignite.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just to build on that, the other part of this of the answer, I guess, regarding the recording and everything, and it used to be a challenge, and it's a challenge for many musicians, in fact, who are going to watch this video, I think. And this is MIDI-driven sound. So whatever you do in MIDI format, yes, you can perfect it until the very end. If you play piano, it's fine because you still play it. But whenever you do something in MIDI, it stenches MIDI. I don't know what to say. It does. You hear it, and it used to be a challenge, and especially like the drums. Okay, you can do something about it. Bass as well. Synths is fine because that's by nature it can be MIDI. But when it comes to strings, when it comes to orchestral instruments, and this is what I love, of course, because of my background.
Right.
And then I discovered the freelancing services. And man, so the violinist who is playing on Sunshine, for example, this beautiful violin is really beautiful, and I really love how it came out. It's the guy on the Fiverr.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
And all these and via this, you achieve a better quality of the music, obviously, of the recording, and also you make friends with people.
That's right.
And with brilliant musicians. And I think these types of collaborations, they are underappreciated by musicians, at least from what I hear curating the playlist.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right.
And one of the advices, although before the bonus part, one of the advices is not to miss this opportunity. It's pretty affordable nowadays. It's very often more affordable than the expensive VST libraries.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And then you get that collaboration that you can't get, you know. I think, you know, as you state, that another person's perspective on what you've written adds a special magic to it. That, I mean, of course, you can get the VST library and you can play it all yourself, but I think that's pretty one-dimensional. You know what I mean? When you have written a piece, even though you've written it, but someone else is interpreting it, it just adds that extra layer of grace.
100%, absolutely, spot on, Jerry. I completely agree, and this is one of the facets as well of my work, me working with Wouter all the time, because he's bringing this extra angle of vision or extra hearing into the compositions, and he freshens them up in a way.
Yes.
So I really, I don't know if he couldn't, for example, at some point of time, if he says, no, I cannot work with you, Andrei, anymore because I don't have time, for example, I hope it doesn't happen, because I don't really know what to do then. I really don't know, because it's a friendship and the musical collaboration, which I treasure so much.
Intertwined, yeah. Man, honestly. Now, let me ask you this question, and you knew this was coming because we've sat down together before. Um, and because you probably knew what to expect, because this is our second conversation, what is that question that you thought, you know what, it's been a year since I've talked to Jerry, and I know he's going to ask me this, so I'm prepared for it. But as of yet, I haven't asked that question. Can you
Mhm.
answer the unasked question today?
Wow. I wasn't expecting this question, this particular question, to be honest. So can I answer this one? No, but um, I thought I thought of, as I said before we started this interview, as I was mentioning, it's been a year,
Yeah.
and a year ago I started this project, the Moonlight and Sunshine, um, and now it's coming to its completion. So the question that I would ask myself, be yourself, or that doesn't matter who is asking it, but
Doesn't matter.
what I would ask myself is, what is the biggest accomplishment? What is the biggest goal that I was trying to achieve, and whether I have achieved it with this particular project? Because it's so multifaceted, as you say. I mean, it's both a compositional challenge, it's a bit of a marketing challenge,
Mhm.
it's a lot of production work challenge as well.
Right.
So what is the biggest accomplishment? Um, what is the satisfaction that I've taken from this project, and I'm happy with? Like that would be the question that I would answer. And I think that, again, maybe coming back a little bit to what was discussed already, I think it's the development of me, of my compositional abilities and capabilities. I think this project allowed me to start creating in a more consistent way, first of all.
Mhm.
It helped me to become a better arranger,
Yeah.
and objectively speaking, not talking about how beautiful it is or how people like it or not, but more in terms of technically, I'm doing it way more quickly, and even the ideas are popping up way quickly as well, and I know how to realize them by now.
Yes.
Um, so I think I had thought in the beginning of this project, I had been thinking, okay, I'm going to gain the audience, I'm going to gain the fans, and maybe with this song I'm going to tap into this and that, and it all happened, by the way, in different scales, obviously. But the biggest achievement and the most interesting thing was to actually walk this musical journey from start to finish, to compose all these pieces, to understand how different genres and styles worked with each other, because I ended up with so all the solo piano pieces. That's fine. That's neoclassic jazz. But then when you go to the arranged pieces, I think you notice yourself. I mean, it's all over the place. I
Yeah.
have a really hard 90s rock track, which is called Lullaby in the
Yeah.
Sunshine,
Hmm.
which is rocking, which was, by the way, recorded by friends of mine from Serbia, also remotely as a live band,
Wow.
with the guitars and everything. So that was so cool collaboration in this one. Um,
And to call
Typical
it a
film music.
lullaby,
Yes,
the
yes.
dichotomy there.
Well, the joke was that if someone is singing the lullaby in the sunshine, a person obviously cannot fall asleep, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't really make sense. So hence the
That's
song
right.
goes like into raving, I don't know, Metallica or something.
Yes.
That was the idea. So yeah, I'm so happy to have been part of the project that I
Imagine.
conceived in the first place. Yes,
Right.
myself,
That's
and uh,
beautiful.
and I'm ready for the new challenges going forward. And I have so many ideas
Mm.
about what I'm gonna write after the Moonlight and Sunshine that I'm a bit cautious of time.
That's
So
so
in
that
the future.
that is beautiful. Well, we are a kindred spirit, man. I really appreciate your heart. I appreciate your artistry, And wow, I appreciate your music. And I'm so grateful that you chose to spend some of your wonderful time with us here at the EntreMusician. Now, again, for those of you who will go and click the backstage pass, or those of you who have already subscribed, this interview will end here, but there are some more gems of advice that Andrei has for you when you're behind backstage. So, go click, sign up, register, and do it. And we will have even more resources from him available to you, so you can hook up with him. As we said before, if you are on Spotify and you do multicolored piano, that's your genre of music, then you know that this young man right here will be the one who's listening and probably providing feedback to you through that Spotify channel as to how to better bolster your music. You already know what he's looking for, and you know what he's not looking for. So absolutely, avail yourself to this information. But this is Andrei Poliakov from Switzerland, dynamic composer, and we will put all the links to his music in the show notes, so that you can avail yourself to his wonderful music. So for now, we'll say so long. Maybe we'll get back together in a year. Maybe before that, we don't know.
Pleasure.
Definitely getting back together, brother, without fail.
We have to. And maybe without the lockdowns, the next time we do it live, man.
Yeah. You come to America, you know what I mean? I'll go to Switzerland,
All that, and we do it the other way around. Yeah, okay.
That's absolutely right. But brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrei Poliakov. He's an EntreMusician. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, but you know what? So are you. We will see you next time. God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jerry B. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you in the future.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.